Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a close look at how to prep for a vineyard worker interview using these amazing resources from RoleCatcher.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating area.
So before we dive in, let's quickly set the scene.
Yeah.
We've got this really helpful interview guide and the career guide from RoleCatcher giving us that insider perspective.
Right.
Because vineyard work, it's more than just, picking grapes under the sun.
Absolutely. It's way more.
It's tech, it's soil science, it's like a connection to nature.
It's a whole art to it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of tradition, but also so much cutting edge technology too.
Right, like thinking about irrigation systems and...
Exactly. And all the vineyard management software. It's pretty impressive.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, okay, let's say we're in that interview and they throw that first question. Like, tell me about your experience working outdoors and with your hands. Where do we even start?
Okay, well, that's a super common opener. It's their chance to see, do you have any practical skills? Do you actually enjoy being out in the vineyard?
Yeah, makes sense. But what if I haven't actually worked in a vineyard before? Like, is that a deal breaker?
Not at all. Think about any time you've gotten your hands dirty, literally. Gardening, landscaping, even those DIY projects where you actually built something.
So, like, if I built a raised garden bed last summer, that counts.
Absolutely. It shows you can work with plants, soil. You're not afraid to get a little dirty.
Okay, I can see that. But how do I tie that back to, the actual vineyard work?
You can even mention those challenges you faced, right? Like dealing with pests or bad weather in your garden. It shows you can problem solve, adapt, that kind of thing.
Right, so it's those transferable skills. It's
Yeah.
not just about having done the exact job before. Okay, I like that. Now I'm thinking about follow-up questions. Let's say the interviewer digs a little deeper and asks, have you ever operated machinery, like a tractor or a forklift? Now what?
Okay, honesty is key here. If you've got experience, awesome. Tell them what you've used and really emphasize your safety record. But even if you haven't, you've got to show you're willing to learn. You could say something like, I haven't operated a tractor specifically, but I'm a fast learner and comfortable with machinery in general. I'm eager to get that proper training, learn to operate everything safely and efficiently.
Okay, showing you're eager to learn, that's huge. Makes sense. Let's move on to this safety question that RoleCatcher highlighted. How do you prioritize safety when working in a vineyard? This feels important.
Oh, absolutely. Safety is like the #1 priority in any vineyard. They want to see that you get it, that you take it seriously.
Okay, so beyond the obvious, like wearing gloves and boots, what else can I mention?
Think about specific protocols, right? Like for operating machinery, handling chemicals, working on those sometimes uneven terrains.
Speaking of terrain, I was reading the career guide earlier, and they talked about those different trellis systems used in vineyards. Can I bring that into my answer?
Definitely. You could say something like, I know that different trellis systems have their own specific safety precautions, especially when you're pruning or harvesting. I'd always want to make sure I'm trained properly on the specific system used in this vineyard and follow all those safety guidelines.
That's really smart. Okay, now I'm curious about follow-up questions again. What if they ask, can you give me an example of a time you identified a potential safety hazard and took action? Like, how specific do I need to be?
That's where a real-life example shines. It doesn't even have to be from a vineyard. Maybe you noticed a loose wire on a piece of equipment somewhere, or spotted a tripping hazard. Just describe it, what you did, and how it turned out.
Okay, that helps a lot. I'm starting to feel a bit more confident already. But let's talk about how RoleCatcher's AI can help personalize these answers and really make them stand out.
Yeah, the AI is amazing. It can analyze the job description and pinpoint the exact skills they're looking for, then give you feedback on your practice answer so you nail those key points.
So it's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. Okay, that's super cool. Now, back to those questions. What about how do you handle working under pressure, especially during peak seasons like harvest? That feels intense.
It is intense. Harvest is go, 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 long hours, demanding work. They want to see if you can handle it. Think about a time you were under pressure, any job, and how you stayed calm, organized, focused.
So even if it wasn't vineyard related, any experience where I had to meet a tight deadline or deal with a crazy situation, that works.
Exactly. You could say, in my last job your previous job, we had these peak seasons too, and I had to juggle tons of projects at once. That's where I really honed my time management skills and learned to prioritize, so we always hit those deadlines.
Okay, I'm getting it. Transferable skills are key.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one from the guide. How would you describe your attention to detail, especially when it comes to tasks like pruning or identifying pests and diseases? That sounds super specific.
It is. Vineyard work is detail-oriented. Every vine matters. You need to spot those tiny signs of disease or pests and act fast before it spreads.
And this ties back to that high-tech stuff we were talking about earlier, right?
For sure. Mentioning how you're interested in using technology to monitor vine health, detect problems early, that shows you're forward thinking, you get it.
So I could say something like, I'm really interested in how drones and sensors are used now in viticulture to monitor vine health. I'd love to learn to use those tools, catch those potential issues early, make sure those grapes are top-notch.
Perfect. It shows you're aware of those industry trends. You're not stuck in the past.
Wow, this is incredibly helpful. I'm already feeling much more prepared for those tough questions. But before we jump into more, let's pause for a sec and remind everyone how RoleCatcher can really help them personalize their answers and shine in that interview.
Yeah, great point. Remember that AI can analyze those job descriptions and give you super specific feedback. You'll know exactly what skills and experiences to highlight to make that hiring manager go, wow.
And don't forget, employers who use RoleCatcher, they can actively search for candidates. So opting in means you're more visible, you increase your chances of being discovered.
Right, put your best foot forward and let those unique qualifications stand out.
Okay, I'm pumped to tackle more of these interview questions.
Yeah.
What's next on the list?
All right, let's tackle this one. Describe a time you had to work as part of a team to achieve a common goal.
Teamwork. That's huge in any vineyard, right? Like everyone's working together.
Absolutely. It's all about collaboration.
This feels like a good time to bring in those typical interactions from RoleCatcher's career guide. Things like working with colleagues, communicating clearly, creating a positive environment.
Right. They want to see if you can be a good team player.
Yeah.
So think about a specific example. Anytime you worked with others, a job, volunteering, even a school project.
So if I helped organize a community garden, can I talk about that?
For sure. Talk about how you coordinated everyone, communicated, handled any disagreements. It shows you can collaborate.
Okay, I like it. What about those tricky follow-ups, like how do you handle conflicts or disagreements within a team? That always makes me nervous.
That's a common one. They want to know how you resolve conflict. Think about a time you disagreed with a teammate and focus on how you dealt with it professionally.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about showing you can handle it maturely and find a solution that works for everyone.
Exactly. Highlight your communication skills, your ability to listen, and your willingness to compromise.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to this question. How do you stay motivated and productive when performing repetitive tasks, like pruning or weeding? Honestly, that sounds kind of tough.
It's a fair question. Vineyard work can be repetitive. They need to know you can handle it without getting bored or losing focus.
I struggle with that sometimes, just doing the same thing over and over. Any tips?
Think about what keeps you engaged. Maybe you set little goals for yourself, or break the task down, or find a rhythm in the work. You could also talk about your appreciation for the final product, that feeling of contributing to something delicious.
Right, knowing that all that hard work goes into making amazing wine.
Okay, what about follow-up questions on this one? Like, how do you prioritize your work when there are multiple tasks to be done?
That's a really important one, especially in vineyard work. Things need to happen at specific times, based on the season.
So they're looking for someone who can assess the situation, decide what needs to happen first, and manage their time well.
Exactly. You could use the STAR method here to structure your answer. Situation, task, action, result. It helps you stay organized and focused.
Right, the STAR method. Okay, I've got that one down. Let's shift gears to this question that's all about quality. How do you ensure the grapes you harvest meet the quality standards for winemaking? That sounds pretty crucial.
It is. They want to see that you understand how important your role is, that it's not just about picking any grapes, it's about picking the right grapes at the right time to make amazing wine.
So I need to show I know about grape maturity, different varietals, maybe even the specific style of wine the vineyard is known for. Exactly. You could say something like, I know that the quality of the grapes directly impacts the wine, so I'd pay attention to things like sugar levels, acidity, the health of the grapes, to make sure we're harvesting the best possible grapes for mention the vineyard's wine style, if you know it.
Nice. That shows I really get it. What about a follow-up like, have you ever noticed a problem with the grapes, like disease or pest damage, and what did you do? That feels like a test.
It is a test. They're looking for problem-solving skills and attention to detail. Think about a time you spotted a quality issue at a previous job, even if it wasn't in a vineyard.
Okay, so if I worked in a restaurant and saw that a shipment of produce wasn't good, I could use that as an example.
Totally. It shows you can identify problems, take action, and communicate effectively.
Perfect. I'm getting this. Okay, what's next on the list? I'm feeling ready for anything.
All right, here's a fun one. What are some of your favorite wine varietals and why?
Ooh, I like this one. But is it okay to share my personal preferences in an interview? Doesn't that feel too casual?
Not at all. They want to see your passion for the industry, your knowledge, maybe even get a sense of your palate. It's a chance to connect on a personal level.
So could I talk about how much I love Pinot Noir and its delicate flavors? Or how fascinated I am by Cabernet Sauvignon and its bold structure?
Exactly. But go beyond just listing favorites. Explain why you enjoy those varietals. Mention their flavors, aromas, where they're grown. It shows a deeper understanding.
That's a great tip. I need to brush up on my wine knowledge. What about follow-ups? Like, are you familiar with any of the wines produced by our vineyard?
That's where your research comes in. Look at their website, read reviews, know what they're known for. It shows you're genuinely interested.
Wow, I'm really starting to see the interview from their perspective now. I'm understanding the why behind the questions. What other insights can we glean from this interview guide?
Let's look at this one. It's about your long-term goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years within the wine industry?
Ah, the classic where do you see yourself question. This is where I can talk about those career paths from the career guide, right? Like becoming a vineyard supervisor, maybe a manager, or even starting my own winery someday.
Right, but keep it realistic and connected to what they offer. Research their structure, their growth plans, and see where you might fit in.
So even if my ultimate goal is to own a vineyard, I should focus on how I can contribute to their success in the near future.
Exactly. You could say something like, in the next 5 years, I really want to develop my skills as a vineyard worker, mastering things like pruning, canopy management, sustainable practices. I'm also really interested in learning more about winemaking, maybe even working in the cellar.
Okay, so it shows a path for growth within the company while still highlighting those long-term aspirations. Makes sense. What about follow-ups on this? Like, what steps are you taking to develop your skills and advance your career?
That's your chance to highlight your commitment to learning. Mention any courses, workshops, certifications you're pursuing. Even talking about industry events or organizations you're involved in shows initiative.
So even if I'm just reading wine books or attending local tastings, that counts.
Absolutely. It shows you're actively trying to learn and stay up to date on trends.
I love that.
Uh,
Okay, I'm feeling so much more prepared now. But before we wrap up this interview question deep dive, let's remind everyone one last time how RoleCatcher can give them that extra edge.
Great idea. Remember that AI can help you tailor your answers to specific job descriptions, give you feedback, highlight key skills. It's an incredible resource.
And don't forget, those employers are using RoleCatcher to actively search for candidates. Opting in is like putting yourself on their radar, making it easier for them to find you.
It's all about using technology to your advantage. Showcase yourself in the best possible way.
Okay, I'm ready to tackle even more of these questions. What else do we have?
We've really gone in depth on those interview questions, covering everything from teamwork and safety to showing your passion for wine.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I feel so much more prepared now.
But before we wrap up, let's take a step back and revisit those career paths from the career guide. Acing the interview, it's just the beginning, right? It's about launching your career in this awesome industry.
Exactly. We talked about moving up, becoming a vineyard supervisor, maybe a manager one day.
And for those who are, a bit more entrepreneurial, there's always starting your own vineyard or winery down the line.
That would be a dream. And RoleCatcher has resources for that too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they really support people at every stage.
Okay, so let's say I land that vineyard worker job. What are some actual steps I can take to move up that ladder?
Well, first, never stop learning. Think about taking courses, workshops, maybe on viticulture, enology, even business management if you're thinking long term.
Right, makes sense. And the career guide also talked about hands-on experience. So volunteering at vineyards, internships, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's not just about what you know, it's about what you can do. Plus, you get to network, meet people in the industry.
Oh, so networking's important in this field.
Super important. Go to industry events, chat with winemakers, visit other vineyards, learn how they do things. It's all about building those connections, maybe even finding a mentor.
That makes a lot of sense. And remember that portfolio we talked about. Documenting your work, showing off your skills, building an online presence, that can really set you apart.
Absolutely. It's your chance to shine.
This deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I've not only gained valuable insight into the vineyard worker role, but I also have a much clearer vision of the career paths available.
Remember, the wine industry is built on passion, dedication, and a love for the land. Bring those qualities, along with the knowledge and preparation we talked about today, and you'll be well on your way to an amazing career.
I love that. And before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Imagine yourself 5 years from now working in this incredible industry. What role do you see yourself in, and what steps can you start taking today to get there?
That's a powerful question, and remember, RoleCatcher has your back every step of the way. Free resources, AI tools, everything you need to succeed.
So to all our aspiring vineyard workers out there, explore the world of wine, and don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves. Passion, hard work, and a little help from RoleCatcher can make that dream career a reality. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive, and until next time, happy growing.